All right, welcome to Uccello's for today's media luncheon. Our players are quarterback Bart Williams, linebacker Garrett Punet, and head coach Matt Mitchell in the middle. Coach, if you could talk about the Fair State game, and then we'll move on to homecoming in Northern Michigan, a 4 p.m. start on Saturday.
Sure. Very disappointing loss. We look back upon the game, I thought, first thing I told our kids in the locker room after the game, and felt the same after watching the tape, they competed. They competed hard. I don't think there's anybody really there that didn't leave everything on the field. So it was tough from that standpoint that we had a few critical plays, offensively, defensively, special teams that, we didn't get the win. We had led the entire way, or tied the entire way, then have a lead until the last play of the game. It's a tough way to head in that locker room after the game, but our guys showed a lot of fight. Offensively, came out on that first drive. We're breaking tackles, are extremely explosive. Had another really good drive in the first half against really stout defense. I thought we found some ways to run the ball. I thought Marty ran extremely hard, didn't turn the ball over that way. And then we protected Bart. I thought we were getting some good matchups with some of our guys down the field, and our guys made some plays down the field. Obviously there was a series of plays late third, early fourth. We had 2 consecutive 3-and-outs. A couple bad drives there that if we would have put together, a couple first downs, get some field position. Obviously, you want to score, but even if we didn't score, if we get some field position and keep our defense on the bench, could have helped our team. And we had probably 3 possessions there, late third, early fourth, that just were not productive. But you got to give them credit, because after they tied it up, our backs were against the wall. We went 75 yards and really made some big plays and took the lead with 2:30 on the offensive side of the ball. So. O-line, I thought, held their own against a very good D-line. I thought our wide receivers really made some plays, and Martavius ran well, and Bart, played well. I think he's got now 21 touchdowns on the year with only 1 pick, and did a good job. We had some procedural penalties because we were doing a lot of pre-snap motions, which hurt us a little bit, got us in some unfavorable down and distances. Defensively, Ferris on 3rd and 4th down was 5 of 21. I thought we did a really good job through 3 quarters of pressuring their quarterback, making him uncomfortable, not really giving up any explosive plays. And then in the last 2 drives, we gave up an explosive in man coverage to Keandre Craig down their sideline, and that got us probably a little bit nerved up about playing man down the stretch. And if you look back, something we could have done better as coaches is applied a little bit more pressure, and we had a really bad bust on a zone coverage on the play down the middle of the field. Just not in position where we needed to be. So they obviously, we got the lead with 2:30. You want to try to put your defense out there and get that critical stop. At that point in time, we didn't get that stop, but those guys battled hard. I mean, they battled, kept a very good offense now with Reggie being back in there, an explosive offense. They kept them in check for majority of the game, except when we needed it the most, the last 2 plays. And then special teams, not great. Obviously, that series of events to start the 3rd quarter was had a big impact. I think heading to the locker room, we're up 14-3, had a 2-score lead. Defense is playing well. I made the decision to take the wind in the 3rd quarter as opposed to the 4th quarter, because I felt like that if we could get that next score and use the field position with the wind in the 3rd, that we would be in good shape. They kick off to us, really poor communication by the kickoff return team. The ball's on the ground and they get an extra possession. And that was a really critical mistake on the kickoff return team, because we gave them a short field for their touchdown. And now instead of having 2-score lead, it's back evaporated, and we're 14-13. We're back into a fight. So that was bad. And then we had the issue at the end. There was some pressure and some penetration, but it was a low kick. And, we've got 2 extra points here on the season that have hurt our football team. We had one back in Indianapolis that we pushed, we missed, and that put us down 4 instead of 3. And at the end of the game, we got to try to score a touchdown instead of kick a field goal to overtime. On Saturday, we have a low kick, we get an extra point blocked, which puts us in a bad spot. Instead of being up 7, only up 6, and obviously that made a huge difference too. So, disappointed, frustrated from the standpoint of, you look back upon that game. Handful of plays that if we could have cleaned up, we win. Very similar to our other loss too. Flip side of it is, we, after the Indianapolis loss, our team, we rebounded. We learned from our mistakes, and we grew. We grew from that experience up at Indianapolis. And I have confidence in the people we have. We're going to grow from this. This was a tough loss. It was a tough locker room to be in after the game, given the way that we had played. With some of the penalties and things that happened, felt like we beat ourselves more than anything. So we got to get back to work. Good to be back home. We take a look at our last 8 games. We've been on the road 5 of the last 8 games, and so now 2 of the last 3 here we're at home. It's good to be back at home, facing Northern Michigan, a homecoming tilt. This is an improving Northern Michigan team. You can take a look at the record, make assumptions, but that's not an accurate indication of who they are. Jake Mayon, their tailback, is really good. He's leading the league right now in yards per game. He's strong, he's physical, he's downhill. They made a change at quarterback to a 2 freshman, and you can see him continue to grow and develop throughout the course of the season. On Saturday, they played Saginaw Valley State. Saginaw Valley completely loaded up the box to try to stop the run, which they did. They held Jake Mayon to only, I think, like 33 yards, but the quarterback threw for 363 yards. So they're starting to develop some offensive balance, which is, obviously going to make it tougher to defend. Their defense is young. It's growing and improving. There's 2 interior defensive linemen that are very active. They move them a lot. They create a lot of havoc inside, which has helped their defense. But it's a defense that's young and it's improving. So a completely new coaching staff up there. Trying to change the culture of the program. It takes time, but you can see they want to be balanced on offense, play great defense, and they're making progression towards that. So we got to get back to work here this week, focus on Northern Michigan. We're not looking anything other than having a great Tuesday, having a lot of energy out of practice, and we're disappointed in the loss, but there's some positives that we can take away from our performance. There's some individuals in that game that came to play, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that Martavius Carter on Saturday broke the career rushing record of Grand Valley State. Obviously, disappointed that we couldn't celebrate that with him in the locker room after the game, but for him in his junior year with 3 regular season games left, an entire senior year, to break that record it's a credit to him, how he practices, how he plays. He played extremely hard on Saturday, and it's a credit to a lot of the people around him. He's had some good offensive lines. He's got some good passing game. He's had Bart along his side the entire way, and our staff's put him in some good positions too. So I'm super proud of the fact that we recruited Marty. Marty's grown and developed in our program and now has that record. And like I said, with a season and 3 games left, barring injury or something else, that's going to be a tough one to beat. And so you're looking at a guy right now that's playing about as good a running back as ever played at Grand Valley. And he played very well on Saturday. Brandon Bean played well. There's a lot of guys. I go up and down the list played well. We just too many critical breakdowns, a couple, missed opportune times that let us lose that game. So, questions?
Coach, with the season where it's at right now, do you move into kind of a survive and advance mode, a little bit like a playoff mode?
Well, it's like,
it's just one game right now.
When you coach and you play at Grand Valley, like every game is a big game. Every game's a must-win game. Every game is that way. I don't know that there's any less gravity on a game than the other, because the nature of our region, like our super region, when you take a look at the MIAA and the GLVC and the GAC and the schools that are in our super region, like there's no margin error when we started the season. So I get there's no margin error right now. I understand it, but there wasn't a margin of error, week 1. We didn't have any margin of error. So I don't know that suddenly there's things change down in the football center. We always have to have that edge, because if you're going to try to win a GLIAC championship, and if you're going to try to get into postseason play like we've done around here, you can't afford to have a lot of mistakes. And so I don't know. I'll let the players speak to that. I don't know that it changes things that much drastically. Like we ran the table last year, and we had the same mindset. The previous year, we went 9-2 and got in the playoffs and got on a run. But I don't know that the vibe in the building ever changed at any point during that whole thing about how we approach things. But I'll throw it to Bart.
I'll agree with Coach Mitch on that. I think every time we get down to the football center, anytime we're game planning, it's never a game off, no matter who the opponent is. I think we've had this mindset for a long time that our biggest opponent sometimes is ourselves, and if we can execute the offense, execute the defense, the wins will take care of themselves. But that's really the challenge is playing to your potential every Saturday, no matter who the opponent is.
So this is one that Coach and either of the players can answer. So after the Indianapolis loss, you guys rattled off 6 straight wins, and now coming off the Ferris loss, 3 pretty big road games, or 3 pretty big conference games, as we've already talked about. What kind of edge or what kind of emotions kind of come into practice in the games these final 3 weeks?
Well, I don't think anything changes on Tuesday from the previous Tuesdays. I think that we have a process. We have to stick with the process, We played poorly in the first game, and the process took an effect, and we continued to improve, and we grew. And I think that was evidenced on Saturday. I mean, those are the 2 teams that battled out there on Saturday. I watched a lot of Division II football. Those are 2 really good teams. 2 really good teams going at it. That was a 4-quarter game. It was a back-and-forth game. It was a heck of a game. And we came up on the short end of it because some mistakes that we made and some plays they made. But we put ourselves in a position to win that game because of the process. And the process isn't going to change on Tuesday when it's time to line up for Northern Michigan. We're not going to drastically change anything that we are doing in a sign of panic because we're sitting here at 6-2. We still have an opportunity to win a GLIAC championship. Okay, I'm not talking about Ashland. I'm not going to talk about Tiffin. I'm talking about Northern Michigan. The path to that is you have to beat Northern Michigan. So that's what we're going to be focused on this week, and that wouldn't have changed if we had beaten Ferris. We would still be focused on that. So I don't edge, difference, sense urgency. That doesn't, that doesn't apply in these circumstances.
Matt, it seems like so often now when you play against a team with a top quarterback in Division II, it's a guy who can do different things, can throw and run and hurt you. It seemed like for a lot of that game, you seem to have had something figured out about Bell that maybe it hadn't done before. And I was wondering if you and Garrett can talk a little bit about the concept. It seemed like you're trying to set the edge and keep him in the pocket and maybe take your chances of him trying to beat you. Would that be an accurate description?
Well, I think with Reggie coming off the injury, we were concerned with him, and kind of what he's hurt us with in the past was when he gets out on the perimeter, he's a long strider and he can eat up a lot of space. When he has to stop and start and change direction in the backfield, that's when he's probably less effective. And so I think we tried to do some things with pressures and D-line movements to change up some contours in the middle, like up the gut, so there wasn't as many clean running lanes. We only had one time where it really ripped us right downhill. That was the start of the 3rd quarter, really hit us downhill. I think the thing that we probably, are kicking ourselves a little bit about the most is that we kind of got away from a little bit of that towards the end of the game. And a large part of that was, when you're going to move the D-line and bring pressures, at some point you're going to have to play some man. And we gave up a couple plays in man. And so we kind of got away from that a little bit. And, we didn't have as much pressure on the second to last drive. And specifically, Tom, the last drive, there wasn't quite as much pressure on him. So I thought our defense, had a really good game plan. We got some really critical 4th down stops, down inside the red zone. Did a really good job against some 4th down stops. We didn't finish. We didn't able to finish out the game, and he made some plays. That's the same thing. I don't want to completely discredit the performance of our team because they have good football players too. And Reggie Bell is a really good football player, and I thought we did a good job against him for the majority of the game. But there's a reason that there was a lot of excitement when he came back off of injury for them. You can see that in the way his performance played out, especially in that 4th quarter.
This is for all 3, really. Moving ahead, how far away is Grand Valley from maybe its best football? Have you even gotten close yet, or how do you feel about that?
Well, like I say, coming out of the locker room, I felt bad because our kids, played some good football, and I thought they really laid it on the line for each other. As a coach, I think we could have done a better job. I could have done a better job of our staff on a few things to put them in better positions. But I didn't fault the effort of our players, and we had a lot of guys make big plays. If I want to start reeling them off, Demario Johnson played great at corner. I thought Demetrius Farmer and Keon Belcher inside were good. Slosher was good. Offensively, our offensive line did a really good job. Kaiser made a lot of plays. Bean made plays. Austin Parati made plays. We had a lot of guys step up and make plays. So, it's frustrating that we're sitting here with 2 losses right now. But we've gotten better. We've improved throughout the course of the season, and we were close to getting that win on Saturday. But we've got to clean up some personal fouls and some penalties that hurt us. We've got to get some of our key pieces back on special teams. We've got to get those guys back out there play a little bit on special teams. But when you look at our defense and our offense, there's some things we can learn from Saturday. But there's not a massive gap of reaching where we need to get from our potential. Go ahead, Garrett. I'll let you go, and then Bart.
Yeah, I agree. each week we continue to focus on getting better at our personal craft, and then coming Saturday putting it all together, offense, defense, special teams, and I think we can all see that on the film. And we're playing good football right now. This past Saturday was a tough one for us to take, but we're going to keep pushing forward and continue to try to better ourselves each day at practice and continue to play good football, championship level football.
I agree. I think we have a lot of team chemistry that's been building throughout the season. Not that it was bad in the beginning, but I think right now you got a lot of guys, everybody out there is playing for each other. Everybody's laying it out on the line. These last 3 games feel like the offense has been clicking pretty well. Like Garrett said, it sucks that we came out with a loss, but there are a couple plays we left out there. Even though for the majority of the game, it felt like we were out there doing a pretty good job. But I think we can still continue to get better. That's something we're focused on as an offense, especially.
So we made it pretty clear that the focus for this week is on Northern Michigan. Bart, what do you think the goal will be for the offense against Northern? And Garrett, what will the focus be on defense? And then Coach, what's the message or the goal overall coming into this week?
All the players, go ahead.
I think the goal for the offense is just stick to what we've been doing, stick to our hallmarks, being able to run the football, being more physical. Keep taking steps forward in the passing game. Let guys go out there win their one-on-one matchups, whether that's an O-lineman on a defensive lineman, a receiver on a cornerback, or Martavius, or one of the other backs on a linebacker. I think it just comes down to winning one-on-one matchups and just getting better each week, trying to win those matchups.
As for defense, we'll come in tomorrow, and the coaches will have a good game plan for us, set in stone, and we'll have to stay true to that. And I think the biggest thing for us is just going out there and focus on our hallmarks, our relentless pursuit, playing physical, fitting the run-up, and just everything that we preach every day. The defensive room, just coming out and executing the game plan. Plays will come to us, and when they come, we got to make them.
But the message for the team is get your eyes up, get your chest up, and attack. We got better after a loss in week 1. We get better after this loss. Let's get better. Let's improve. Let's have some energy. Let's have some bounce. Let's go after and get after it against Northern Michigan. These opportunities are rare. We haven't had a lot of home games. Our Blubber Stadium is awesome. We got a unique opportunity on Saturday night to head out there and play Northern Michigan. So let's quit feeling sorry for ourselves about losing a tight ball game on the road. Get over it and start attacking what we do in terms of our preparation. Let that show up on Saturday at 7. Or 4 p.m., sorry, 4.
Okay, as Coach just mentioned, 4 p.m. start on Saturday, homecoming game, and that's on ESPN3, but it's a 4 p.m. start. Thanks.